Hey, what's up everybody? GigTube here, or Chatty Gig Economist. This is a video I've been wanting to make for a while, so I'm going to rank every gig app I've ever worked for, ever, from best to worst. The categories here, I think, are pretty self-explanatory. At the bottom, we got non-starter, which means this is an app that I applied for, was on board with, and just deleted the app without ever completing a single job. Doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, it just means that it just wasn't right in my market. And speaking of which, I know a lot of people in the comments are gonna be like, "That app is awesome in my market. How can you say it's terrible?" Or vice versa. It's just that's how these apps are. Some cities they're great, some cities they're terrible. And I'm in the Orlando area, in case you're wondering. You might also notice there's a few apps missing from this list, like Shipt, Dumpling, Rover. These are apps that either I haven't been onboarded with yet, or I'm on the waiting list, or I was just denied for whatever reason. This video might be long, and I'm sure my cats are going to interrupt me. So, and I'm not going to do screenshots or anything like that. You just have to take my word for everything. And yeah, so let's start rolling. We're just going to in alphabetical order here. All right, so we're going to start with Amazon Flex. You know what? They're going straight to the top. Hall of Fame. One of the best apps I've ever worked for. I've been on with them since 2018. Made lots of money with them, especially last year. Amazon Flex in my market. Especially in the Daytona Beach warehouse, the blocks will surge as high as $30, $40, $50 an hour. And even though the pay is by the hour, it's just you get a route, and say you get a 4-hour block and your route is like 20 packages, you knock it out in like 90 minutes, you still get paid for the full 4 hours or whatever it is. You also have Whole Foods deliveries, which I love. I've made a couple of videos about that, or ride-alongs, and I tend to get really good tips on those. But the only real downside to Amazon Flex is that you don't know where you're going until you get to the store or the warehouse. And sometimes you get like really, really long distance mileage, but sometimes you get really short distance mileage, and you get routes that, like I said, it's a 4-hour route, but you knock it out in 90 minutes, so you're making tons of money per hour. Yeah. Love Amazon Flex. Do not have a referral code, but do recommend signing up for it if you can. All right. Next up is Cornershop. Now I'm tempted to put this in Hall of Fame, but I'm going to put this under good. So Cornershop was, yes, past tense was, because it's not around anymore. Cornershop was basically the same as Instacart or Shipt. It was actually a South American company, and it got bought out by Uber a year or two ago. And up until August of 2022, it was its own app, and the payouts were great. It would basically pay double or triple for the exact same job on Instacart. But once Uber rolled it into the Uber Eats app, they slashed the wages down to the bone. And actually, I hardly even see these types of jobs anymore. I don't even know if they're around anymore. So yeah, but just getting paid double or triple to do what I was doing on Instacart. I mean, who would say no to that? I will say that the Cornershop shopper app itself was terrible, but that was my only real complaint about it. The pay was great, the app was terrible, but that was a price I was willing to pay for the great pay. All right, so next up I got Curri, which is one of the just a generic courier logistics type delivery apps. It's not hot food. It's just basically taking something from a store and going to a customer, or from store to store. Basically a business to business delivery. Specialized on like construction type stuff, mostly Sherwin-Williams and things like that. And I know some other geek tubers have raved about this app, and even friends of mine. But in my market, sad to say, Curri is trash. Apparently I live right in the middle of where all the jobs are. All the jobs seem to be out at the beach or in the city of Orlando, and I'm halfway between. Yeah, so I will say that the payouts will surge fairly quickly, but it's just where I live. The jobs are so far away, and the pay just really isn't worth it. It's just you have to be in the exact right place at the exact right time. You can actually count on one hand the number of jobs that I've completed with Curri ever. So yeah, I had to delete Curri. It's not worth it. If I ever move to the beach, maybe I'll give it another try. But yeah, in my market, Curri is trash. Sorry. All right, next up we got DeliverThat, which is a catering delivery app. Some other gig tubers have talked about this. I've actually made a video about it, and I actually had I think it was the CEO of the show of the app on my show. I think I delivered it or deleted it. So I'm sad to say that I have to put DeliverThat under trash for a few reasons. First of all, all the jobs start about 10:30 a.m. and I work afternoons and nights. I just can't work mornings, not even 10:30. Second of all, they pool the tips. So you don't know what you're getting tipped until like a week later. So it's like they take all the tips from everywhere, put them in one pool, and then divide them out evenly. This is like a very, in my opinion, kind of like a socialistic, communistic type thing. I want to get the tips that I actually earned. And I've actually seen in the comments on some of my DeliverThat videos of people saying that, the customer said they tipped them $50 or $100 or $200, but then, they only got, $17 on their paycheck. And that's another major complaint I have about DeliverThat is that when the job comes in, it doesn't say what the pay is. All you know is just where the restaurant is and where the customer is. And you just have to hope and pray that you're going to get paid pretty decently. And also, you don't get paid until like a week later. It's basically a W-2 job. It's terrible. And the actual app itself, again, is pretty terrible. Like the app comes in, or the job comes in, you try to click on it, it disappears. And it's not that bots are taking over the app. It's just a really poorly designed app. So I had to delete DeliverThat. If they fix it and they fix the tip scenario, then I would give it another try. But for now, no. All right, next up we got Dispatch, which is a lot like Curri and Roadie. Basically just delivering something from a store to a customer or to another store. In fact, it's pretty much, in my experience, it's been pretty much all Sherwin-Williams deliveries. And I've come very, very close to deleting this app. But actually yesterday, I did a triple stack Dispatch of 3 Sherwin-Williams stores, and they were all going to where I was trying to go anyway. So, so Dispatch is, I'm going to put them under meh. It's just one of those apps. It's a filler app where you only get 1 or 2 jobs a day, and you just kind of basically have to be in the right place at the right time. And I will say that most of the jobs they offer me are pretty low paying. It's really only worth it if you just happen to be where the job starts and you just happen to be going to where the job ends. But otherwise, and also with Dispatch, it's mostly paint. So you will be hauling these big, huge 5-gallon buckets of paint, which weigh, I think, like 50 or 60 pounds, maybe more, or 4 packs of 1-gallon paint. So it's you have to be, in really good shape to do Dispatch because you're going to be hauling paint. Same thing with Curri and Roadie, which we'll talk about later. So like I said, I've come very close to deleting Dispatch, but I'll keep it on my phone for now. All right, next up we got, everybody's favorite app, and I hate to say it, but I have to put it under Hall of Fame. For all our complaints about DoorDash, I mean, especially, hiding the tips. That's pretty much the basic complaint that we all have. But DoorDash is a reliable app. Of the big 3, GrubHub, Uber Eats, and DoorDash, it has the most market share of all the hot food delivery. And they also got into catering. And, they play a lot of games with the Top Dasher and all these other perks and stuff. But, DoorDash is reliable, even in a small market. If you schedule your hours, a week in advance, which is what I do. So, the hours drop at 3 o'clock every day. And what I'll do is I'll just schedule a half-hour block from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So, like 9 to 9:30, 10 to 10:30, and so on and so forth. Because I just never know when I'm going to be working. But having those half-hour blocks is great because, if you're multi-apping and you just need to do an Instacart or another job or whatever, and if they're going to pause you, it's no problem because then you got another app or you got another block, starting no more than 30 minutes. So, yeah, DoorDash is pretty reliable. And on Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights, it can be pretty baller. All right, next up, we got our first non-starter. This is called Draiver. Sorry, I can't really see the logo. Draiver it's basically delivering cars to people, basically like rental cars. So, like, you would go to just Enterprise or Hertz or wherever, pick up a rental car and like literally drive it to the customer. But then you would have to take an Uber back to wherever you're going, and it's kind of a pain. And same thing with, much like Curri, is that all the jobs are really far away from me. So you still have to drive your own car to the rental car place and then drive all the way back, and it's just. I just couldn't get started with it. Sorry. I know some other GigTubers have promoted this, but I'm just not a fan of the model. I've never did a single job. And the next one up, I could kind of go either or for GoPuff. GoPuff, I applied, was onboarded, had the app, but never did a single job for it. GoPuff is similar to GrubDash Eats in that you're delivering, food and vape pens and beer and stuff like that. But the model itself is terrible. It's not like where you go from, one restaurant to the customer and then another restaurant to another customer. You go to a warehouse, you get a route of like anywhere from, 2 to like 10 customers, and then you go deliver them all, and then you have to deadhead all the way back to the warehouse, and you get paid a flat hourly rate, and then maybe you get tips on that. But you don't know what you're making until afterwards. It's actually kind of like Amazon Flex, but with food, but it's a terrible model. First of all, I don't understand why any customers would order through GoPuff because everything they sell, you could just get, at a supermarket or 7-Eleven or something like that. It's not a huge variety of stuff. And also, it's like your delivery is like a window. Like your window is between 1 and 3. So it's like if you want chips or vape pen or beer, like why wouldn't you just order from 7-Eleven or, whatever the convenience store is where you are, and Uber Eats, DoorDash, GrubHub will have it there in you know 30 minutes or so. I think GoPuff will not be around much longer. It's just a terrible business model. And I don't even know how they get away with calling the workers 1099 independent contractors, because you have to schedule your hours in advance. And when you get a route, you can't decline anything. Like, you have to do it. And like, you get paid a flat hourly fee plus tips if you're lucky. So GoPuff, actually, I'm going to move them to trash. It's just, I've never heard anyone say anything good about GoPuff. And I know I would never do it unless they change the business model. All right, next up we got GrubHub. I know some people in some markets, GrubHub can be awesome. For me, when I first started, it was great, but their market share has been shrinking and shrinking, and I hardly get any orders anymore. And much like Dispatch, I've come this close to deleting the app many times. But every once in a while, I'll get a fairly decent GrubHub, but it's extremely rare, except maybe on Friday, Saturday nights, that I'll do more than one GrubHub a day. It's just like every offer that comes in, it's always a restaurant that's on the other side of town going to a customer, really far away, or it's like fast food and it's a lowball pay, just as bad as DoorDash and Uber Eats. So yeah, GrubHub, it can be okay in my market sometimes, but it's nowhere near that you can make like a decent living off of it. It's just, if you multi-app, it's a good one to have in your arsenal or bucket or whatever people call it. All right, next up, Instacart. Well, if you know me, I've been a fan of Instacart, made tons of training videos. And a year or two ago, I would have put Instacart under Hall of Fame, but Instacart has been slashing the wages to the bone. Their valuation keeps dropping by billions of dollars. I'm not a fan of the new CEO. The app itself is okay. But Instacart, much like Cornershop, was awesome when it first came out because it was not an open queue. It was just like every order was assigned to you. And like in the real early days, you got paid by every individual item, the weight, every mile to the store, to the customer, all that stuff. But now Instacart is really only worth it if you get a really generous customer, or it's, you just get lucky basically. But Instacart is still pretty good. And, some cities are better than others. And my city is like, okay. But, if I travel to Orlando or Daytona Beach, I tend to get really good orders there. But yeah, Instacart, don't give up on them yet. Yeah, it's still actually pretty good. All right, next up we got Lyft. I've made quite a few videos about Lyft, and Lyft was fine when I first started, but I got to put them in the trash bin. Lyft is more or less the same as Uber, but I haven't done Lyft in over a year, actually almost 2 years, I think. But Lyft screwed me, and I'm really mad about this. So Lyft, if when you sign up and you do some kind of promo code, they have different offers, like guaranteed $1,000 for like 80 rides. So like, so like you give 80 rides, and if you don't make 1,000, and that's just on base pay, that's not including tips. So if you don't make $1,000 or whatever it is, then they spot you the difference. And like there's different, so it's like, I think it's like 1,000 for 80, 2,000 for 120 or 150, and then there's 3,000 for 180. And I signed up about a year ago for the 3,000 guarantee, and did the 180 rides. And then when I went to get my difference, because I didn't come anywhere close, they shorted me $1,000, and I had to go down to the hub and argue. And they said, no, you signed up using a different promo code. So yeah, I'm forever holding a grudge against Lyft. Lyft, much like GrubHub, their market share has been dwindling and dwindling. Stock price is down to like, I don't know, like $10. It actually lost over 36% value in one day last week. So I don't think Lyft will be around a year or two from now. It's bad management, and I don't know. Yeah, sorry Lyft, you're in the trash bin. All right, next up we got Point Pickup, which is more or less the same as Dispatch, Curri, Roadie. Just, although in my market, it's all I ever saw is Walmart deliveries, and they were all for stores half hour away or an hour away, and the payouts were super lowball. It was like $5, $10 top. I don't think I ever saw anything more than $10, and they were like all Walmart deliveries. You have no idea how big the orders are, and it's just a terrible app. Like an offer would pop up, you'd look at it, and it would disappear. Just an oversaturated app. Just I don't even know if it's still around. I've never seen hardly any other GigTubers talk about this. So if you guys use it, if it's good in your area, let me know in the comments. But I would Point Pickup is much like Lyft, GrubHub. I don't think they will be around much longer. All right, next up we got Postmates, and they're going straight to the trash bin. So if you've been watching me for a while, years ago, actually almost 4 years ago, over 4 years ago, I made 2 videos about how terrible Postmates was. Postmates was, yes, past tense was, a lot like DoorDash, GrubHub, Uber Eats. It's just, hot food delivery. But it was almost all order and pay type orders. It's not like you would show up and pick up and go. You would have to, even when it's fast food, you would show up, give them the Postmates credit card, and then wait for the order, because you would have to place the order. And like so many merchants hated Postmates. There were so many lawsuits against them by restaurants that didn't agree to be on their platform. Uber and DoorDash and GrubHub have all had the same lawsuits, but thankfully Postmates is not around anymore. They got bought out by Uber Eats like 2 years ago, maybe 3. And from what I hear is that you can actually still use the Postmates customer app on the West Coast, but if you try to on the East Coast or the Midwest, it just refers you to Uber Eats. So, and I've heard good things. I heard Postmates was baller on the West Coast, but it's terrible here on the East Coast. So, all right, next up we got Roadie. Much like Curri, Dispatch, Point Pickup, just from point A to point B, generic. A lot of Home Depot deliveries, Best Buy, Advanced Auto Parts, but the pay is terrible. I'm going to put Roadie into the trash. Pay is like 50 cents a mile. That's terrible. I mean, you think some of the DoorDash payouts are terrible. Imagine like a DoorDash payout, but it's going triple, quadruple the miles. These Roadie jobs, they tend to be anywhere from like 10 to 30 miles or more, and like, pay like 50 cents a mile. Maybe 75 cents if you're lucky. Or if it's a very, very short distance, you would get the base pay minimum, which is about $6 or $7. So like I've done like only a handful of Roadie pickups like out of Home Depot, and it was like I was in the parking lot and it was only going a mile or two. So it was basically like doing a DoorDash order. But Roadie, I've deleted them. They're getting their lunch eat by actually coming up Walmart Spark, because Walmart has Sherwin-Williams, Home Depot, Advanced Auto Parts on Walmart Spark now. So I don't think Roadie's going to be around much longer. They got bought out by UPS, but they haven't done anything with it as far as I can tell. All right, next up we got Skipcart. A lot of people haven't heard of this. Skipcart is basically, it's just 7-Eleven deliveries. In fact, 7-Eleven actually bought the app. But just like everything else on the trash bin here, terrible payouts, hardly any orders. And it would only tell you the distance from the store to the customer. It would not tell you the distance from where you are to the store. So like some of the offers would come in and you would think they would be pretty good. But then you realize that it's hard to read the map. Like you think that you're only a mile or two from the store, and it turns out you're like 6. So what was a great job for a 2-mile job is, pretty terrible when it turns out to be 8, 9, 10 miles. So yeah, Skipcart, and it's all 7-Eleven. It's just one store. You can order from 7-Eleven, DoorDash, GrubHub, Uber Eats, Instacart. I don't see the point of it. How is this a good business model? I don't get it. How are they going to be around? All right, next up we got Walmart Spark. Walmart Spark can be great, and sometimes it can be terrible. The wait times, it just depends on the store around you. The stores near me, unless you go like real early in the morning, you tend to wait forever and ever. But they do have a variety of different jobs. So I mean, it's mostly online grocery pickup. You just go and you sit in the parking lot and you wait like upwards of an hour. But in a lot of, and just like with any other, GrubDash Eats and Instacart and all those, the vast majority of customers do not tip. So most of the orders that are in there are crappy. So I'm going to put Walmart Spark under good. It's not, I will say that when you first sign up, they will offer you tons of promos, and, around the holidays, they'll have tons of promos, complete, 5 trips and get an extra $40, something like that. And like, or just like one single delivery, you get an extra $5, like a pharmacy delivery. I will say that if you do a what they're called .com or GMD, general merchandise routes, they're almost identical to Amazon Flex, just doing anywhere from like 3 to like 15 customers, and it will show you a map of where all the customers are. It'll show you the mileage, show you the payout. The only thing it doesn't tell you is the estimated time. And sometimes I will only do those if they're like really high paying and it's mostly highly miles. Sometimes you'll see like a bunch of suburban deliveries all right next to each other, and it might be a high payout, but it's going to take you 2-3 hours to do them all. And it's also, the customers don't know you're coming. So when you show up and you're carrying a white Walmart bag, a lot of times they will freak out. It's like, who are you? At least with Amazon Flex, they give us a vest. I wish Walmart would do that. But yeah, so Walmart Spark, it can be good, it can be bad. So I'm just going to put it on good. Next up, TaskRabbit. I could kind of go anywhere. TaskRabbit is basically whatever you make of it. I'm going to put them under meh. If you're good at fixing stuff, if you're good at cleaning stuff, TaskRabbit's for you. You can basically do anything. It's just a freelance app, and like basically you can put like anything that you're good at doing. Like you could do anything from like I said, cleaning, shopping, tuning pianos, karate lessons, pet sitting, whatever you're good at, you can do on TaskRabbit, or Chore Monkey, as the Simpsons called it. So I did TaskRabbit a few years ago, like right before COVID started, and it was mostly doing just like Walmart furniture assembly, and it was just really boring. And I would get paid, basically the same, hourly rate as I would like doing an Instacart order, and I'd just much rather do Instacart or DoorDash something instead of being on my hands and knees putting somebody's Walmart, plywood desk together. So, I actually deleted TaskRabbit, but I wouldn't call it trash. It just wasn't for me. So I'm putting it under meh. All right, next up we got Uber. Now I'm gonna do Uber as Uber rideshare, and Uber was the first gig app I ever did, and it used to be meh, but now it is trash. They started going to a upfront pay, which was great which now they show you all the details they should have showed us 10-15 years ago when the app first launched. But they have slashed the pay to the bone. It is 50 cents a mile if you're lucky. Although I will say I only do UberX, which is like the lowest tier for Uber. So if you have a Tesla or a minivan, and you can do Uber Comfort, Uber Black, Uber XL, where you're hauling 5-6 people around, you can make pretty good money on Uber. And also, especially if you're in a big city, but you're gonna deal with drunks, belligerent people, people with babies who don't have car seats, stuff like that. People who smoke and eat in your cars. I don't know. Rideshare as a career is for suckers. It should only be a supplemental thing to everything else in this list. So, yeah, Uber rideshare, terrible. Uber Eats, slightly better. Much like DoorDash, they hide tips, but in my market, Uber customers do not tip. I think I have like a 1% acceptance rate on Uber Eats. And I know in some GigTubers I've seen, they rave about Uber Eats, like, just they get so much business from Uber Eats, but in my market, it's pretty lousy. It's almost all fast food orders, almost all $2-3, and almost nobody tips. So it's like, what's the point? But like so it's okay Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights, or if you're just lucky and you get in a surge. But for the most part, Uber Eats is pretty lame and bordering on going in the trash. All right, next up we got Veho Driver. This is much like Point Pickup, Curri, Dispatch, Roadie. It's just a logistics delivery thing. But the only problem is is like you have to go to the warehouse, and like they're all at like 7 a.m. in the morning, and then you get your route and you go deliver it. And the warehouse for me is like an hour away, and all the jobs start. You have to be there at 7 a.m. and I'm just not a morning person anymore. So I've never done a single job for Veho. I know some people rave about it, but if it was more like a delivery app, if it was even more like Dispatch or Curri, where you could just go from store to store and just on demand, instead of, you have to go to the warehouse at a certain date and time, it would be better. But for me, Veho it's a non-starter. I've never done a single job on it. All right, next up we got Waitr, which is also known as BiteSquad, which is also known as ASAP, which is also known as Delivery Dudes. This is the smallest of the major, quote unquote, major gig apps, like or food delivery apps like GrubHub, DoorDash, and Uber Eats. But Waitr is trash. I hardly get any orders. The app itself is terrible. There's no map of like where the restaurants are or hotspots. I don't know where the zones are. It will show you the full payout up front, so it is transparent like Grubhub, but most of the time it's kind of like Postmates, where it's like order and pay, or it's just, you show up, you get the order at the same time the restaurant does, so you show up and the food is never ready. And it's just it's an app almost no customers use, so it's even worse than Grubhub. I mean, it makes Grubhub look like DoorDash. I will say I know a few people in a few markets that actually get really good business with Waitr or ASAP or whatever it's called now. And also, that's another complaint I have about. They keep changing the damn name. So and Waitr, literally the stock is a penny stock. It's like worth like 20 cents, 15, 10, a dime. I don't know. How are they selling business? I don't get it. All right, so that's it. The last two, this is just Dispatch. Sorry about that. But yeah, so let me know in the comments. Obviously, you're going to say, this app is awesome in my market. This app is terrible in my market. I can't believe you said that. But yeah, so check out some of my other videos on a lot of these gig apps. And if you want to see me do similar, ranking videos like this in the future, let me know. All right, so if you watched all the way in, you are awesome. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys real soon.